All right, we are getting into Apotheosis for game number 1.
Ooh.
Took a little bit of time, but we're all good, guys, and we're getting into the finals. Now, we advertised and talked about this a little bit during the break. I'm going to bring it up once again. The Olimoleague is really close to hitting its next Patreon goal, so I would greatly appreciate if you guys at least consider checking it out. Excuse me, I know not everybody here has money to donate, and that's totally fine, but at least make yourself aware of all the cool benefits that Patreon offers by going to patreon.com/Olimoleague. I'm going to put it right here in the VOD too, so it's patreon.com/Olimoleague, so everyone can see it. That's what runs this tournament. That's what creates the prize pool. It's what pays the staff. It's what pays us. This is one of the few tournaments that we get paid to cast. How good does that feel? Am I right? But, anyways, Zamir, are you ready to hop into these finals?
Please, God. Yes. Let's go.
I know that downtime was brutal. In the bottom right, it's going to be the Zerg contender, the challenger, if you will, the Red HyuN.
And top left as the blue Terran, he is ByuN.
Now, I think a lot of us are, assuming ByuN's going to win this, and even some people in chat were like, why should I bother watching if we know ByuN's going to win? But here's the thing that's so interesting about this. I also am very much in favor of ByuN winning this. He's just got the track record for it. He's got the most of the best Olimoleague wins so far. But HyuN used to have that title. He used to win every weekly cup. He used to be the king of these things. And again, we hadn't seen him for a while. I think a big part of that was like, you know, with GSL, SSL, Pro League, all these things going on, being on a bigger team, he may not even been allowed to compete. Doesn't mean he's not capable of competing. And to be honest, you know, he beat Gumiho, which wasn't so crazy. I don't think Gumiho's exactly ByuN levels, but it was still a good victory nonetheless.
Yeah. Saw ByuN mess up his SCVs for a second.
He is human, as it turns out.
Turns out he beat Gumiho, arguably, I'm sure. Like, if I was a little shit poster in Twitch chat, I'd just say that, you know, you can only cheese to win. He's not very good otherwise. Because that is how he won.
But if it works, it works, right? I mean, when you consider ByuN does like almost the same opening every single game. When you can almost like to a T blindly say, okay, it's going to be like the 2 medevac push, right? Then maybe that's something where somebody like HyuN can plan around it, compensate for it, and if you are cheesing, hit it at a time before that's ready to go. Or as it moves out even.
But the thing about ByuN that I don't think is the same for Gumiho is that this guy has been consistent against all-ins and cheese for a very long time. Like, it's kind of bizarre to think that I just haven't... You talk about what can you do against ByuN if you're a Zerg player, and I don't think I've ever really mentioned all-inning him. I probably have.
It's
probably
not...
Someone's going to tell me I'm a liar, but... It doesn't seem like it's ever going to work. Anytime that we've seen someone try and all-in him, his control and his Marines and his decision-making and his reaction time has been too good.
Well, we'll see what ends up happening in the game. I do want to point out the fact that this was forced into Apotheosis first does help HyuN out a little bit. Whether it's against Solar or other Zerg players, Terran have just been in general struggling on this map, and ByuN has been not exactly immune to that. We've seen a couple of losses here and there on Apotheosis.
Yeah. Well, these rocks have broken down. That's interesting. You've never seen Zergs use their Zerglings.
Well, so on one hand, like, okay, this guarantees that ByuN won't be taking a fast gold, but at the same time, ByuN doesn't normally take a fast gold anyway, so I don't know what that really does for him other than limit his ways into ByuN's base, in and out of ByuN's base.
Yeah, I would say that's almost favorable for the Terran at this point. Oh, we have HyuN going for a gold base. He's also going for a fairly early Roach Warren. It really doesn't to be put down, and you know, for some time, even if it's going to be his main form of defense. I can't see him going for like a dedicated Roach attack though. Like Apotheosis, just went over how he'd be good for HyuN. That's if he plays either defensively entirely or Mutilating Bling. So I can't imagine these roaches are going to be made in more than like 3 or 4. And if they are, it's only because he's going to be prepping for the 2 medevac drop, which everyone knows ByuN is preferable to. And in fact, HyuN did scout. Well, 6. Still not concerning amounts. And with the gold base coming up, I gotta imagine the next larva pop's going to be for drones. At least 50. Push is just about ready to go. Medevacs loaded up. Overlord will survive for another day. Sees a double engineering bay wall. The front.
The problem is with the medevacs moving out. I mean, I actually like the Ravagers. About to comment, HyuN wasn't really properly prepared to deal with the drops. They'd be able to use the low ground and abuse it against Lings and things like slow roaches. But the Ravagers will have that little bit of extra reach with the Corsair Bile.
It's concerning though, because at the same time they have extra reach, either with the Corsair Bile or just like their actual attack. They also die a lot quicker, so he definitely needed to get these Lings to help out, to make sure they weren't focus fired. Which he does a great job of. Easy peasy defense.
I have never noticed just this moment. I realized HyuN and ByuN both capitalized the ends in their names.
The more you know.
Yeah, just a small little, like, oh, that's kind of cool moment. I know you don't, like, read or watch a lot of One Piece, but they get this whole thing with, like, people with D for their initial and middle name are, like, super powerful. Maybe it's, like, the same thing with YU for Koreans.
That's a thing in One Piece. The dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Right, well, the medevacs will escape. I like that he was trying to predict the shots. It did look like they're going nowhere, but... HyuN did actually knock a Liberator out of the sky earlier, too, if you guys remember, so... Not so bad with those predictive shots. The rocks being taken down? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he wants like the gold base for sure.
Yeah.
But it really was like, why... Sometimes it's better to do something with the Lings than nothing, but that almost favored ByuN in like a defensive, like protected sort of way. Like, oh, okay, another range, another way for you to escape. Great. So I don't know about it. It doesn't really play a huge part in this game. 1-1, Combat Chill is going to finish up way ahead of HyuN. And it's a little bit concerning. This army can't take on a lot of Lings, although the bridge they can. But the next army, there we go, the reinforcements, and suddenly HyuN needs more units.
Yeah, he also, I just want to point out, ByuN was so brazen to go in like that. He just snipes off that Ravager and walks away from the Lings. That could have been so dangerous for him. Small risk, but a good one, because he did take a favorable trade from it. Medevacs, though, ooh, accidentally flying to the Corrosive Biles. That's going to sting a little bit, but ultimately... I think while HyuN will hold, ByuN doesn't get a bad trade out of that either.
I would agree with that, yeah. Could have gotten better. Those Corsair Biles, though. ByuN is forced to go back.
I don't think he knows what the Widowmine. He could Corsair Bile it. Or auto attack, there you go. Man, that's a lot of Ravagers that got made in plain sight, though. It's 8 more on the way. Corsair Bile, by the way, I'm really glad it doesn't have the same splash radius it did when it started the game.
I would say that HyuN made even a mistake in that Gumiho series once or twice by going for too many Ravagers. I hope he doesn't make the same mistake again.
It was not even a problem I had with too many Ravagers. It's just the lack of Infestors, I feel, was the biggest issue there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, yeah. Something to protect the Ravagers so they can't just stim on top of it.
Yeah, like there's this extent where you could like just throw a dart at a wall and like that's how many Ravagers you make and that's fine. Like 1, 15, doesn't matter if they've got the proper support for them.
Yeah. Well, ByuN was entirely pushed back. Well, he still has better upgrades. And it's not like HyuN is reaching towards a hive really quickly or anything like that. It is Apotheosis, and anytime that HyuN can push back ByuN, that's going to be a lot of time for him to be able to take a breather, basically. And he's got his 4th base up. He's got 67 drones. I will say, like, okay, what are you going to do then? Like, if it's not a hive, are you just going to get maxed out Roach Ravager? Because we're going to see something very similar to the Gumiho game, the last game they played, except that ByuN didn't take a massive amount of damage and is just barely recovering. He's going to have better upgrades and a better army once they both get maxed out, or close to maxed out. And HyuN's going to actually add something in here. So Infestors, Tunneling Claws. Although even Tunneling Claws I wouldn't say is very good here, as ByuN is not going for tanks.
Yeah, maybe. Someone asked you a very interesting question, chat. Was ByuN playing in online tourneys while he was preparing for the GSL finals? And the answer is yes. He was consistently showing up for Olimoleagues every week, 1-2 monthly finals even. He was not hiding builds. That's what I really respect about ByuN's play. Like, he doesn't rely on cheesy, sneaky, or even tricky builds. He's just really good at the game. Neeb's a lot similar to that. Like, most Protoss players have, like, hidden DT trends up their sleeve and all that. Nah, Neeb just, like, controls his depths really well and hits timings perfectly. Him and ByuN are like birds of a feather in different regards like that.
Well, the upgrades aren't quite done here, and ByuN was caught with only half of his army that had to stim to run away, so it's pretty badly damaged already. It's a little bit scary. He's actually probably F2'd at this point. He's bringing his drop back home. You know what he meant to?
My concern though is like without those 2-2 upgrades, I don't know if HyuN can really fight this the way he wants to. Especially as he eats more and more of his own corrosive vials.
This was like 10 more supply and the army was entirely healthy. I think ByuN does take it, but it's still a little bit questionable. And HyuN is right to push the issue.
Yeah, I mean, he already drove back the gold base. He's creeping up the other one, so there's nowhere for the command center to actually run to. Problem is, they might get drawn back home. It's not a big drop, but it's enough to actually bring HyuN all the way around.
Yeah.
I guess he's a little bit worried there'll be more, because ByuN never really comes in ones. He always comes in twos, but...
Usually... Yeah, I get someone like ByuN, you see that you're actually bullying their army back, and you're like, okay, what am I missing?
Exactly.
What am I doing wrong? So he backs off. He lets ByuN take a third base again by clearing that up. All right, but I think the more important thing is that he lets ByuN get a couple more rounds of production. Upgrades have evened up. That's one thing in favor of HyuN waiting a little while longer. But I am worried about just straight up like bio with medevac being better with equal upgrades.
The Corsair
right on the front lines too. Not ideal.
I'm wondering what he's aiming at here though. Is he trying to hit the bio? Is he trying to hit the medevacs? Because these shots are really a little bit wonky, but. As ByuN tries to pull that trick where you just stim on in, he doesn't have the Marines for it. The Marauders are slow shooting. They're good against Roaches, but not so much against Ravagers. Walks into his own corrosive vials, doesn't give a good gosh darn. Now up 3 times the army supply. HyuN really not letting up in the issue. He's going to be able to shut down those +3 weapons. That +3 armor going to go down with it too. Shutting down the upgrades entirely was the best thing ByuN had going for him.
Something Colossal to finish up too. Oh, those are missile turrets that'll be able to continue harassing we saw in that Gumio game. I don't think ByuN expected such a big roach swell. He might have played this a little bit differently if he did.
ByuN's going to go down 2 games to win this 3-2 in the end.
Of course.
He always does this, right? Like he'll lose a couple of games, like makes it look a little bit dicey, and then just wins it. Turns on that turbo, but maybe not here just yet. HyuN, despite having a lot of supply, a lot of his rallied, not quite in these front lines. So these Ravagers are not taking the best engagements, but looks like it's still going to be good enough. GG at way too much supply. HyuN will take that first game.
Well done.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. But that's one game against a Titan like ByuN. That feels good to watch, but that was on your probably best set map for it, and until this map pool resets, like, which I don't think it can because it's not a monthly final, that's your win. That's your gimme gone. So can he pull this off on the other maps is the question. But I guess it's the finals, so we're gonna squeeze in commercial breaks while we can, guys. As you know, we're all about that money. Greedy sons of bitches we are. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Alright, back. Thanks for watching that break, guys. We're actually having some troubles with the BattleNet. I guess some other people were getting lag. Oh, I just got temporarily unavailable. Oh. But I just get kicked out? I did. So this is a bit weird. This just happened to Zombie Grub. I'm hoping this isn't going to happen to me. We're connecting. We're just randomly getting booted.
Koreans not get booted.
Okay.
Interesting.
It's a little unfortunate to have this start happening in the middle of the finals. I guess as long as it doesn't affect us in game. Like if we're all quick enough when we get in the lobby and just go, maybe it won't be a problem.
Yeah, maybe.
I've got to be able to connect again first, though.
Well.
There we go. But now I don't see any lobby up. Did the lobby get destroyed?
No.
Oh, wait, there we go. Real ID just took a second to load, I guess. Everyone getting systematically kicked. Awesome. Same. That was weird, though, because I've never actually seen that message before. It's just like, yeah, we're having some issues. See you later. I know they're doing maintenance on the other servers, and maybe that has something to do with it.
Maybe. Well, I think we're all in now, so... Oh, we're missing ByuN. He's pretty important. Hi, Cat.
Yeah, he was here before I disconnected, so I'm assuming he also had the same problem. But looks like everyone's back. Everyone's here. Let's hope nothing breaks. It is King Sejong Station. The next map.
Cat smells weird.
Smells weird like how?
I don't know. It just smells like something like burned almost, like burnt hair.
Yo, so it's today when you're getting your haircut, or when are you doing that?
That's correct. I am getting my haircut today.
You're probably not going to tweet pictures of your new hairdo, will you?
No, I will not.
Why not? I bet you're going to look so adorbs, man. Actually,
Because I don't
getting
take pictures myself.
are you getting it
What?
colored and then cut, or how are you doing it?
That's how it goes, I assume,
Well,
all the
wouldn't
time.
Well, I would assume wouldn't you color it and then cut it?
Wait, what did you say? Color then cut?
Are you cutting it and then coloring it, or are you coloring it and then cutting it? Is what I was asking.
Color it, then cut it.
Okay. Just curious. I don't know much about this. As I am not a girl with long hair or dyed hair. I don't know either of those dynamics.
Well, you used
So-
to dye your hair.
I dyed my hair in high school, yeah, but that was a long time ago, man.
Apparently, you're supposed to cut it after it's dyed because, like, the effective of the dye or the bleach or whatever. Well, I guess it's bleach for me. Like, messes with your dead ends a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. They explained it to me, and I was like, whatever.
Whatevs. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are in game number 2 in a best of 5, and wouldn't you know it, we all asked, what's the point of watching this game? Well, I'll tell you why, because this guy's up 1-0 in the bottom right side. It's going to be the blue Zerg HyuN.
Hey. In the top left, as the red Terran, he is ByuN.
Now, there was some discussion that came up in chat after that game was over and we were on that commercial break that I gotta agree with. Like, we didn't really see much tank usage. I think a lot of that for ByuN was focused perhaps almost too much on the bio. My only counterpoint, though, is tanks are, as much as I'd love to say good against Roaches and Ravagers, it's really only good against the Roaches. And HyuN was going so much heavier on the Ravagers, it actually kind of made sense not to have that devotion to tanks. But
I didn't mind the pure bio, especially since his upgrades were better and on par at the very end.
yeah, I mean, like, I'm not going to say having tanks would be bad. If you got them, great. But I think a lot of this had to do with, like, HyuN is so good at brute forcing. Like, you know, Roach King back in the day, we made jokes about him having the amount of bailings that he would have once upon a time. Like, that's a tactic and a style that, despite balance changes, despite unit changes in Legacy and HOTS, like, he plays this really brute force style that, in that instance, worked.
I think mentally ByuN wasn't prepared for it, because that is not a style that most Zergs are playing.
No, everyone's trying to play finesse and Ravagers with
Well,
infestors and
either they're
whatnot.
defensive with Roaches and Ravagers, or they're offensive maybe with Mutilating Bling, but even then, more often defensive. So basically, it's the aggressor versus the defender, and that kind of got swapped. So mentally, he wasn't prepared. And then very clearly, like physically in the game, he wasn't prepared. Like, he had a drop and then a push, and the push was only like half of his army, and it met all of HyuN's army and had to stim like 2 or 3 times to escape. I mean, that's a really big deal. It's a big difference than all of your army on the high ground in a concave with full health and better upgrades taking on Roach Ravager. And that certainly contributed to the snowball effect, because then he lost part of his army, then he lost his 3rd CC on the gold base, and then he lost more of his army, so on and so forth. So he might be paying a little more attention to that and change up his style of play. Not even necessarily his composition, just his style.
So first off, shout out to Wired1. Thank you for saving esports for 20 months in a row. But secondly, that was kind of cool of HyuN. He could have dicked around with the Reaper for a little bit more. Oh, you got an idle drone, bro. Don't get caught on the stream with that. He could have dicked around the Reaper and accomplished nothing for it, maybe bled out a ling or two, but instead goes to break down the rocks immediately. Now, on one hand, there's the argument of people like, for example, ByuN and just generally Terrans using tanks in that back door in King Sejong. But we're actually seeing more and more Zerg players take these rocks down, Terrans be unaware of that, and hit with this really cool all-in that hits from the side. HyuN's still droning right now, but I'm wondering if he's going to stop at 30. No, he's going well beyond that. Never mind.
Like I say, it's more like a TvZ thing.
Well, regardless of like what the matchup is, because it's HyuN doing different things in general, so I thought it was really cool. But either way, it opens up the doorway so you won't have to deal with at least the Terran shenanigans side of it.
Yeah. Well, he wouldn't really usually have to worry about facing ByuN and worrying about a tank push like that, because ByuN just usually doesn't do it. Occasionally, if he's up 1 or 2 games, he'll like almost throw one by doing a different build, but he is actually down 1 game. So this would be something that you would definitely need to take down if you're facing Gumiho, for example. I don't know where I was going for that. Instance, that's what I was looking for.
Shout out and hype, by the way. I don't know who pledged the last missing $5. Maybe it's 1 people or a couple people throwing in $1 at a time, or maybe 1 person just throwing $5. But the Olimoleague just hit its brand new goal of $550 a week. So
Woo!
hype and thank you. Quick reminder to anyone involved with the Patreon too. Like the great thing about Patreon is it really is flexible for you as the Patreon. If you decide like, you know what, this is great for a week, but I don't want to do it for 2 or 3, or you want to do it for more, it's really, you can cancel at any time. You can also keep pledging for as long as you'd like. Patreon's really flexible for both sides of that. So awesome. I don't know what the new bonuses Twitch will provide is from hitting that new reward, but Olimoleague told us basically whenever new Patreon achievements are achieved, Twitch helps make things better. Something more awesome stuff for the studio, might be more prize money, I don't know.
ByuN going for this all-in that does hit ideally as ByuN's drop moves out, and it's...
Oh, that would have minded me such a scumbag! That was a really good nice out of use of Lings out of HyuN, but unfortunately doesn't have enough units to follow this up and keep pressuring that ramp. It did bring ByuN back home, albeit temporarily, and allowed HyuN to just keep droning behind this.
Yeah.
That was, first off,
really
like,
nice.
scumbag Widow Mine, but secondly, great tactics out of HyuN.
I do wonder if it was worth it overall, though. It was Banelings and Lings and a bit of drone cutting to do that.
You got to consider, had there been one more hit on those SCVs, they would have all died. So, I mean, it was close. It was so close to absolutely being worth it.
Yeah. And as it is right now, I guess it's okay. He's still up in drones at the workers.
Slow Banelings had that Widow Mine to dance around.
Unless this gets absolutely destroyed. You get 3 more Banelings, but not many Lings to cover him. ByuN doesn't know that, doesn't have a scan, it looks like.
The splits were good, though, and that was actually a really nice control out of ByuN on that fight. Right on the edge of creep, too. It's always scary to take engagement, but Queens can't quite reach the medevacs, now realizing that the creeps were seated underneath them. Oh, no, they've got to fall back. Transfuses miss. He's in a lot of trouble, bleeding these out.
That was really nice focus fire on the one that had the most energy, too. Third CC comes down on location. A bit scary, since this really is most of his army, or all of his army. His reproduction hasn't really been set up yet, so if he gets swamped, he could be countered and could have to cancel it. So far, his control is pretty good, though. I think he would like to scan and clear up some creep trimmers, but unable to.
Medevac does get picked off. Not the most devastating thing. That Widow Mine's gonna get an amazing hit, though, on its last breath. Oh my god.
Nice. That was focus fire. That was really nice.
That's like a last second focus fire, too. Combat Shields 1-1, finishing Combat Shields kicking in here in just a second. Shout out to Krogerson, saving esports for 29 years. Hurdy-gurdy. What's up, man? Thank you so much. Infestation Pit starts up, and HyuN might be thinking about a really fast hive here, but I don't know if he's going to have the money to support that, because he's going to have to invest a lot of Banelings into the defense, staving off ByuN for the time it takes to even get there in the first place.
Yeah, and he was stuck at the same drone count for a long time, which means he was at a pretty bad one as ByuN replaced all the SCVs he lost and then some. So only just now getting up to 55, not really that great. Missing out on, of course, additional lair tech, so he doesn't even have 2-2. Circle Hoax isn't done. It really is going to be only the Infestation Pit. This is really scary. HyuN might just end up dying here. Doesn't have enough Banelings to do that much, especially if it's focus fired. No medevacs, though, so I guess that's going to kind of be a trade.
I love that ByuN, even with a small amount of units, can still trade out well with them. I mean, popping off that Baneling, backing away into the corner, Queen's having to give chase, all sorts of just hell breaking loose. Top side of the map, he's also setting up for an attack, but this might be a little bit awkward. It might go in too soon. There won't be that many SCVs here right away. I guess here comes the transfer now.
ByuN did just, deflect
this is
over there.
This is 2 seconds too soon. Speed wasn't finished.
Well, that, yeah. But also, he knew that there's something over there. Good reaction there. HyuN's only on 3 bases. 4th base only just starts, along with that hive. Now, ByuN won't have better upgrades. In fact, they're totally even right now. And that is kind of disappointing, because I think he does want to push right now. But I think his army control and his army type could be good enough to at least kill the 4th base and then see what goes from there. But he's actually heading off to the 3rd, I guess, to get some drone kills. He could really surprise HyuN if he wouldn't pass by this one Overlord, but unfortunately he is. Fine.
Keeps one of these links by trying to get to the main, but at no point will HyuN ever not have production there. But all these little distractions here and there might be just building up to what he needs to amount towards this hive tech. I mean, okay, there's double drops on this side. This is going to really suck to deal with. But with constant aggression up here, ByuN's had to leave a portion of his army that would otherwise be pushing the opposite side, dropping in the main right now. Instead, it's at home defending. So again, little time buying efforts, all building up to just trying to get those ultralists into play.
He doesn't even have ultras covered on the way though. He's investing in upgrades and burrow. There it comes now. ByuN is ahead 20-30 army supply.
Patience, young zombie girl. Patience.
Totally.
There's a great Korean Protoss.
Oh, finds a lot of banelings morphing in here. Gets a cancel on quite a few of them.
Ooh, I'd say at least half. Meanwhile, the
That's
bottom
nice.
side, I mean, this is a decent amount of banelings and certainly segmented away from HyuN, who has to be down here to deflect this as well. So he is defending two fronts, and it's not easy with the Marauders soaking up the baneling hits the way they have been so far.
Oh, whoa.
These splits
Ooh.
on creep from ByuN are really impressive. Like, splits in general are pretty good, but he's splitting on creep. He's dealing with these banelings so perfectly. He's really on fire and wants to pay HyuN back for that loss in game one. Like, unacceptable, unforgivable.
This attack's gonna get cleaned up, but the third base is under fire. Nothing protects that, and there's another army coming into the fourth base. So this looks like it will be game. HyuN not anywhere close to having plating or ultralisk, and has used up all of his money in this defense.
Yeah, he doesn't have the money to do anything else with. Shout out to Mr. Jones IP, or LP, so I can't read that. 2 months, hype. Even behind the mineral line, these Marines taking a great fight against these legs. GG gets called, and ByuN ties up the series 1-1.
Ow.
Oh dear. Are you okay? What'd you do? I just heard a clunk, and then ow.
I hit my foot on a bar on my desk.
Oh no.
Hmm.
I hope your toesies are okay.
What the fuck?
Dude, ever since I played League of Legends, dude, stupid Jarvan. Oh, my toesies.
Oh,
What the
no,
fuck
like,
was that?
yeah,
Alarak.
did it happen to you too?
Jesus! Him coming down the throat scared the crap out of me. Okay, we're going to commercial break. Let's get it out of the way so we get to Game 3 ASAP. We'll see you guys soon. Perfectly timed. You guys aren't missing anything. We're loading into game number 3. Everything is tied up now 1-1, and we are on New Gettysburg. This opens up a whole plethora of possibilities that we'll talk about in a moment. But before that, in the bottom right side, it's going to be the red Zerg player, HyuN.
The bottom left as the blue Terran, he is ByuN.
Oh, poor ByuN's been out of it for so long. I guess he forgot that it was a best of 5 finals, or was just not sure if that was the case or not. Because it does make the difference of this being match point or not, and suddenly you are no longer willing to risk the same all-in that you may be if you had one more game to fall back on.
Although, last game could have just been a win. You should have probably asked then. Oh well. HyuN is the new loser. Is that a good way to phrase it? So it is his map choice. New Gettysburg makes a lot of sense. After New Gettysburg is gone, it kind of favors ByuN for the map choices, although you are forced into your 5th map, no matter what you would hope for.
Yeah, the
Adasan Station and Galactic Process are not an option in the Olimoleague.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. For a long time, we cut those out, and I keep forgetting, like, we're going to ask at some point if those would ever come back, because when they were cut out initially, it was because the map pool was just so bad. Oh my god. The map pool was just, nobody wanted to play on 2 maps. There's no point in having them. We actually replaced maps, if you remember. We had put our own custom maps in with AVEX. Detox, I'm still sad Detox didn't become really popular. That's still one of my favorite maps that we've hosted games on.
And that's some really good games.
Actually, just to speak on that point real quick, a lot of people won't know what Detox was. You maybe never saw a game played on it. That's fine. But what I enjoyed about that map that we still haven't seen from any map in the ladder ever was it was the only map where there was not only just not much defender's advantage, but a lot of attacker's advantage at every turn, at every angle, at every base you could attack into. So
Yep.
I always thought that was really cool, and I'd love to see aspects of that borrowed and put into like actual ladder maps.
Well, I imagine ByuN's going to do the exact same thing he does most of the time, and he is 2-1-1. Oh, wait. Let me check. Yep, 2-1-1. HyuN is the one that's mixing things up a lot. Of course, he did all in on this map against Gumiho, who was going for what arguably could have been a better build than what ByuN is doing. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. A Banshee Scout to Roach all in, it helps dramatically. It helps a ton. And the tank follow-up was this close to being able to hold on to it. ByuN is doing, especially if his units are on the low ground, can actually be swamped. I don't know what it is about ByuN. He's so
He's-
good in almost every department except that first Reaper.
But you know what? If I had to, like, if you had to pick and choose your weaknesses and strengths, like you could somehow, I would take the weakness in the Reaper and the strength in the macro every single time. Like ByuN, okay, maybe that's something to be desired, but he's so good at every other aspect of it. I'm not too worried about him losing Reapers, and he does usually at least get scouting with it. Okay, it's kind of crappy, but this is a game where he didn't. So unfortunately, while the Reaper dies, he also has no idea. Like maybe HyuN's coming with an all-in. Maybe he's just going for a normal build. I don't know.
Yeah, luckily for him, it is a normal build. As HyuN is definitely capable of all-inning.
Okay, Lings.
Freak out.
This, it's like, quit touching me, quit touching me.
It's really weird because they know they can take on 2 Marines, but
I think he knows that there's more waiting. He's trying to get baited into it. He wants... I mean, I don't know what presence he gains by sitting here like this. It almost feels like a little bit silly, but... Tags the command center, backs away. Tags the command center, backs away. Bentley now starts up behind this. It's actually pretty important that he doesn't lose all these Lings for nothing, because there could be 6 Banelings that roll in a little bit later.
that's true. Hide him off to the 3rd base. I think this is just defensive Banelings, as he knows that it's around the time when that 2-base medevac drop is going to hit. But it also could be used not just like defensively, but as like a counter attack, or it could just straight up be used similar to last game, where you make a couple of Banelings, get your Lings across the map, and hope to catch them as they move out. I would say that it didn't really work last game though. It was so close to it because that Wood of Mine very much was a scumbag, but I don't think it's very rarely worked. I want to say 16 Banelings, more and more Lings.
Medevac's not going to
drones.
scout this. I mean, ByuN was looking for... He knew those 6 Zerglings snuck away. He didn't know for what, though. And it is going to be a pretty nasty all-in coming. Now... Oh, he's picking up 2. Oh, Zombie up. The timing on this moving out, though. He gets to turn around and save this potentially, but... He's got to get to the high ground.
So this is what always seems to happen especially with ByuN. But, like, against any, like, really, really good Terran player... The Zerg player will try this trick, and it must work, okay? Because a lot of Zergs try it. But against ByuN, he always seems to see it within a second's advance notice. He pulls the SCVs, and then you can't run away with this. The Marines actually unloaded are pretty damn good.
You gotta consider, too, like, had HyuN waited 1 second even, the Medevacs may not have been able to turn around so quick on a dime and get back in time to unload things. Like... Okay, there's been some luck in this series for both players at some points, but this is not one of those times for HyuN, unfortunately.
No, it's not. It's not. Even if he had lost the natural, as long as he's able to unload the main, it's still like the case where it might not be enough damage. HyuN really gives up a lot of economy to do this, and is continuing to invest into it because, of course, he knows that the medevacs have moved over here, and 6 Banelings on defense can actually take care of this with creep spread. Unfortunately, he doesn't have it.
Well, if the Queens can push back those medevacs, it's even more so, but he doesn't have the transfuses to keep the Queens alive, so he can't push this back. Meanwhile, this bust coming through for round 2, but that Widow Mine looking for that perfect hit, not quite gonna get it!
So only, like, so many... The Banelings used on the bust here, the SCVs will all go down, it looks like. Oh, maybe not. Save the SCVs. Save the SCVs.
He picks him up. Nicely done. Still gets 11 kills. Not too shabby. And the Mule's driven off, too.
Base.
Yeah, is that worth it? This will be the question on everyone's mind. And for ByuN's sake, it looks like it's not too bad. In fact, he's actually going to shred the Queens with this and might just win the game. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to get 1-1 in combat shields, too. This turned out pretty well. Oh my god, the last medevac. Boom.
If these two were on an Archon, I think we would have to call them Team HyuN.
HyuN? Yeah, because you couldn't do anything else with it. I got it, Team ByuN. Oh, wait. Oh, what about Team HyuN? Nope, that doesn't work either.
Well, I mean, technically it does, but just not in the way we wanted to. At any rate, that was a quick game, to say the least. But now we're on... God damn it, Alarak, you're so scary. Now we're on match point. And if HyuN loses this next one, it's all over. If he can win it, then cool, we'll go to an ace match. But either way, both players have secured quite a bit of money. As again, the Olimoleague awards quite a bit of cash. Thanks to you guys. We talked about the Patreon a lot. Let's talk about the rewards we reap from it. First place in this prize is about, like, again, this is like converting from Korean won, so like about $150-ish for first place. Second place is about $80. That's a lot of money compared to weekly cups that you can get anywhere else. It's almost some of the most money you can get. So these both players going to walk away today with more than enough fried chicken money. That's to say the least. But, Alarak, you're really annoying. We're going to go to commercial break, guys. We'll see you in 2 minutes for what is possibly the final game. Alright, folks. Once again, back just in time for the map to be loading. You ain't missing much. Getting into this final game. Possibly this final game. Excuse me. As things are not so favorable for him right now. He's got to win this game to take it to the 5th and final match, or he's out and done for. Ladies and gentlemen, the top right side of the map, it is going to be none other than the red Zerg, HyuN.
And top left, as the blue Terran, he is ByuN.
Okay, so one of the things I'm really glad about being in Game 4 is I don't have to listen to Alarak anymore. Oh my god. I thought they would have learned with Nova's grunting. Like, the background noises are kind of cool at first, but they should not loop.
Okay, I agree, but also you can just go to any other panel in StarCraft to stop it.
That's true.
We learned that.
But also, I shouldn't have to.
Okay. Well, then continue to listen to Alarak go.
He's got like the H3 cough down. He's like, ah, ah, ah.
I don't know what that means. But all right.
Damn it. I was actually, I was talking to somebody at Twitch who's a fan of our channel, right? And he's going on about like how much it seems we seem to follow the other games. I'm like, no, bro, let me slow your roll right there. Zombie Grub doesn't follow anything except StarCraft. Like,
I don't know what he would have said to that.
he's like, what do you mean? She doesn't know like the other Twitch streamers because I'm explaining that you just pretty much stick to just StarCraft, right? With like the exception of like 1 or 2 streams. So he starts listing off all the same people I would list off if I was talking to you about popular Twitch streamers, name dropping big names like Soda Pop and etc. I'm like, yeah, dude, if you brought this, she'd be like, I don't know, whatever.
I know some of those words.
I know words. There's English in that name.
Soda? Poppin'? Sounds delicious.
Actually, so I just did PAX. I'm really excited for TwitchCon because what I really enjoyed about PAX, and I didn't think I would, was the non-esports aspect of it. And I'm hoping there'll be more people I know at TwitchCon, obviously, than I knew at PAX. Because PAX, I'm not gonna lie, was a little bit lonely. Although I had a great time hanging out with CK Walsh and a couple of the other people we met up with. But yeah, TwitchCon coming up so quick, so soon. Very excited.
3 weeks.
It's like TwitchCon, and then small break, then BlizzCon, then that other thing I don't know if we can talk about, so I just leave that on pause for now. Something else, yeah. Some other thing.
Amazing. Secrets. So good at keeping them.
Oh my god. Dank memes and anime are my life. Love you, Riff God. Nathanius just subbed to the channel for 26 millennia? What? How are you that old?
Seems about right.
Thanks, Nate, bro. Sir 1, Sir 2, and chat, guys, if you got it. ByuN not wanting to lose his Reaper for once. I say that as I say that, he literally starts moving towards the queens, right? Like, don't do it. I know you want to kill yourself. Stop.
Death Wish. Death
like,
Wish?
What we think is just poor micro out of ByuN is actually the most amazing micro of all time against a unit that just really wants to die. And even the god himself can't stop it from happening.
Yeah, he's fighting against it constantly.
This is like a lemming. Yeah, it literally wants to jump off the cliff, right? Like, he's just like, no! Stop! But unfortunately, by keeping the Reaper safe and alive, he gains the Watchtower control. That's kind of cool, but he didn't get to scout HyuN again. And HyuN, I don't know if ByuN was worried about watching the other series or preparing for HyuN at all, but HyuN did throw out some Roach all-ins. He threw out some Bailey all-ins. I mean, that last game too, especially. I think you do have to be a little bit aware of what's going on.
Wait. What time did he get Roach Warren in that first game? This actually might be not a big deal. Never mind.
No, I think this is just a regular Roach Warren for him. Because he does take that third.
Seems like it.
Although HyuN in the past, again, if this was HOTS, it'd be like, oh, the third's a larva factory and it's like old school typical stuff. But it's not. Like, this is Legacy of the Void, and I don't think you get away with it the same way you used to.
Well, I think he does. I mean, that's what he did last game. So with Bane Links. It's still a thing not to actually drone up your third base. Or worker up your third base. Because it's a thing for all races. Not really Terran, I guess. Anyway, but this is similar to what he did in that first game on Apotheosis. So Roaches turned to, I guess, all of Ravagers. That's what he did. to defend, and then maybe later on a really humongous big push, which this is what ByuN's really going to pay attention to. However, if he's going to win the game because he's so good at this double medevac drop, then okay, whatever. But if he's not, then it's going to be like, okay, you're going to get tanks, or you're going to be a lot more defensive and well prepped for when HyuN attacks you. Either one, but it can't be what he did in that first game, which is be, I think, TLDR, like too aggressive. This is a very safe way of pushing in. That's not a lot of lings. Yeah, that's actually a little bit scary.
There's very little buffer for this. The Queen's going to focus on the medevacs that will push ByuN back. But as we saw, No Fear dives in and just focuses down those Ravagers. Not unlike games we saw prior. Yo, this really takes me back to the start of the year where we talked about players like Polt, because it really, like, ByuN wasn't as big of a deal back then. Polt was the only one that was like brave enough to dive into Ravagers instead of pulling away from them all the time. HyuN now facing ByuN, who's just doing that like it's second nature to him. Like, this dynamic of how you handle Ravagers has changed so much over the year. Yeah,
it's certainly true. Once again, target firing down a Ravager and then taking on the Lings after that. Now, this really should not snowball to end the game. If he had a third medevac coming in to reinforce with, full Marines, maybe it does. HyuN was supply blocked, I think, for a second there, and he was just kind of maybe trying to call the bluff a little bit, like, oh, you couldn't possibly overwhelm enough. But now, getting all of the units I think he was missing with that supply block. So, not looking so great on the economy front. ByuN at even workers, you guys third base finishing up. HyuN does need to get to at least 55, I would say, before we can really commit to pushing. And of course his upgrades are drastically behind. ByuN's follow-up push might just be deadly. But his production is only just really recently kicking into gear. Oh, not even. He's just not getting the 2 barracks, so if he had all his production, this would be quite scary. Without it, he is just trading damn well.
Roaches and Ravagers auto attack aren't too bad, but once again, ByuN's able to just like focus down the expensive Ravagers in the back. I mean, Roaches not so expensive, Ravagers kind of are. So losing those units is not favorable for HyuN at all. However, despite this, he is still mining on 3-base economy, and he's creeped up both these bases and knows that ByuN is not on 3 bases himself. And in fact, looks like these Marines have to start pushing this back now in order to take the base.
I guess HyuN made sure that the main pushing force was not hitting him.
No, I love this. Sport Crawler already intercepting.
Yeah, that was really nice. He made sure that the main engagement wasn't happening anytime soon, so that's when he got 16 drones. And now he knows the 3rd base is being taken. So he's up to 67, pretty good counts. Looking for a 4th base as well, which the Liberator I think is going to scout. And unfortunately this is to make up kind of those upgrades. But once again, using a couple of Ravagers, saving the medevac. ByuN very good at that type of stuff. Liberator's not good at killing overlords, I'll tell you that much. Did not have a Spore Crawler on the natural, so Queen's gonna have to shimmy around here. She doesn't fit? Oh, she doesn't fit. Oh, she does. Never mind. Just took her moment. Took her sweet time. ByuN is going for tanks right now. He's also got really, really good upgrades. And as long as he takes engagements wisely and scouts ahead, he should not be in that same awkward scenario on Apotheosis where he has to stim backwards.
Well, speaking of stimming, just stims right into that army. Still got a decent amount of creep spread to clean up, but HyuN throwing down this infestation pit. Again, I really fear it's not going to be for infestors, although I wish it would. It does feel like he's trying to just get to his dessert real quick, get to that hive tech, but I don't think he's going to be able to survive getting to hive tech at this rate. No. And not because ByuN's done incredible damage so far, but because he's about to.
Right, his follow-up push is going to be really scary. It's going to have all the upgrades and the main force collected. Loses a tank. Almost loses a second tank and a medevac there, though. That would have been pretty bad. Spire is on the way for HyuN, which I thought was very weird. So maybe going for a greater Spire?
It also could just be for Corruptors if he's worried about the air. We'll find out in a moment, of course, once the hive tech begins or doesn't begin. We still don't have infestors being dedicated to it all. As he does push the front lines, I mean, he doesn't really have a big bank growing behind this is what concerns me. He's trading out these units that he can't necessarily afford to replace. He's building more drones. He wants to get a really high count and saturate that base up, but still taking harass up here to the north is no fun. I'm wondering at what point like a spine crawler might even be worth it, considering just how little this harass is.
Right, a single marine. I'm quite worried for HyuN. The army for ByuN is at 2-2-1 against what is just going to be 2-1 for HyuN. The tank count will have grown to maybe 4 by the time he pushes out, and ByuN should start feeling comfortable pushing. You know, as I was saying earlier, he shouldn't. He should be really careful about it. And that was before he had really good upgrades, a decent army supply, and a tank count to fall back on. Now, all those things considered, plus HyuN isn't going for like the big max out, let's kill you right now style. He's going for the defensive, get to apparently greater spire style. I definitely think ByuN should push out. Well, those tanks were pretty late to dropping. But it didn't matter, the bio took on the rest of the army. And ByuN takes a pretty damn good fight. HyuN has to try and remax. He's got a couple of infestors on the way, but no pathogen glands.
Yeah, that means they're not going to be able to pop out with those instant fungals, but it looks like he might just have the time. ByuN's army has shrunk to the point where it's not really pushing too much. Like, he's playing tentative, he's clearing up creep, he's not really on top of the mineral lines just yet, so the infestors might get time for a couple of fungals. And really, that's all they need. The biggest thing about the fungals is they hold the army in place. It doesn't deal that much damage, and who cares, but the Corsair Battles will guarantee land if it's held in place. Back to the north side once again. Drone's going to get pulled away from this. Attack on the south looking to go right back in, but HyuN doesn't really have the army to split in twain like this. Send some of the roaches northwards, but he's going to lose the hatchery.
Yep.
And because of this, yeah, he's got no buffer for the Ravagers to the south. Infestors are almost ready to fungal, like 4 energy away. A good fungal in these medevacs would clean most of them up.
Queen saves the tanks. Marauders actually target firing the drones, I guess? Oh, there's a couple roaches in there.
There's that fungal growth. And here we go with the Corrosive Biles. Ooh, hit some of his own army, though. Ugh.
Awkward. He lost his 4th base. He lost a good chunk of the army. And he is falling behind in the upgrades once again. ByuN's main force pushing forward here. Only 1 tank, it seems like 2 tanks. Okay, that's pretty decent. And I don't think HyuN should continue moving forward himself. But a 4th base? That is a 4th base. ByuN has not broken HyuN yet, but I feel he is getting close to it. And HyuN does not reach for a greater spire, so I don't know what the spire was for.
I really think it was a just-in-case scenario. It might be greater spire later, too, and just the investment getting it out of the way, but I really like the infestors. Sorry, I had to stave off a yawn there. It's like going Super Saiyan, essentially. HyuN's been fighting with just like 1 arm on his back, normal mode. Now he's finally got that extra unit that changes the game up pretty drastically, no less. And I guess he's gonna creep out this base by a little bit more time. Oh my god, someone actually donated to the stream today? What's going on? I would prefer not to, just donate $21. You wanna read that message while I update this?
Once, maybe? It's not updating. I only just joined the stream. Darn. Just happy it's Omira final again. All good things, BaseTradeTV. Thank you for the $21 donation.
Hype. And I'm wondering why that didn't trigger the Korean, like, that should have been the top donation. We've had no donations all stream.
It did for me.
Really? It only did the clap for me. Interesting. That's Streamlabs for you.
Did you restart? No, wait, that's only Twitch alerts.
Well, plus I've restarted the computer and everything since our last cast. Like,
well, no, like if you use like stream labels, you have to actually click the restart session, but that's not what you're using. So, I don't know. It's crazy.
Fungal gonna try and buy some stuff. Time. There you go. I don't know why I forgot that word for a moment. Doesn't unfortunately land on much. He's gonna get some Crystal Balls on top of the Liberators. They won't be so problematic because they don't have that range, but if this army gets fungled on the bridge, that's more than enough damage to these Crystal Balls. With the tanks zoning out the infestors, keeping them from getting close enough to land those fungals. 1 lands barely, doesn't hit much, and suddenly HyuN's in a pretty rough spot, but he comes in with those ultras. They do have chitinous blading after all, so they're gonna take the fight on this choke, but the Ravagers combined with the Liberators hitting some of those ultras. Oh, Corsair Battles have been a real pain in the butt for HyuN this game. Friendly fire is a hell of a drug. Unfortunately, as we see, the ultras are just being focused now. Not too much problem for ByuN right now. +3 weapons and a lot of Marauders make that a possibility.
I didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, great. Sketching cool. I'm just going to assume. Either way, the ramp being taken. HyuN's got to abandon this base. He doesn't have a 5th setup down here. He's going to build one now to fall back to, but he's starting to run out of mineral patches, and these expensive Ultralisks are not something easily replaced if he's not mining. 2 Ultras also ran across the map. Not going to get a lot done. They're driven away by these Marauders.
Yeah. It seems like it's going to be game over soon for HyuN. I said that it seemed like it would. Like, eventually going to be able to break him, and it seems to be at that point. HyuN up 40 army supply, decent upgrades, although HyuN is catching up. But Ultralisk aren't the sole answer here. It's too big of an army for them to be the comeback king.
Yeah, and these Infestors just don't have the energy. It's so close.
Big
Not that it would
splits.
matter that much anyways. There's so many Marauders. It's almost pure Marauders. 29 Marauders. I didn't realize how many he had built up over time, but that Bioforce comes in. Who needs Ghosts when you're ByuN? Jesus. He does lose some on the other side of the map, and the Ultras are chasing a lot of SCVs right now, but the Liberators should be able to cover these. And the important bases for HyuN are being taken down. His army now gone. Drones got pulled, and I think that's going to be it. ByuN has locked down yet another Olimoleague under his belt.
God, this guy has like 15 weekly titles or something.
It's insane. Like, and this is funny too, because HyuN was like the old school, right? Like, he used to be the king of the weekly cups. He used to have more wins in Zotex, go for StarCrafts, everything than anyone else. But ByuN really stealing that crown. GG gets called. ByuN will win the series 3-1.
GG.
Now, I want to just talk on something really quick. I don't want to restart the whole discussion about the whole good girl shit that got happened on Team Liquid and people are bringing it up in chat. I think regardless of whether you see good girl as an offensive phrase or not, guys, if someone tells you basically I don't like being called blank, don't keep calling the blank. You don't need justification for it. If Zombriel were to call me like handsome and I said please don't call me handsome, it really bothers me, and she kept doing it, that's a dick move, right? Like, it's a fine thing to mess up once, but if someone just says stop, then just stop. There doesn't need to be reasoning behind it. I don't know why it's even a debate.
I don't know where that came from.
Because that whole last game, I had to read like idiots in Twitch chat, and not say anything because I was trying not to bring it up during the game chat.
Well, I don't know who it was, but like, I don't think this is like me being overly sensitive.
It's not even a topic of you in this instance. It's just like generally speaking, if someone says.
I remember the guy like responded with like, if you would have called, good guy, it would have been so bad. And I was like, yeah, and if you would have called a guy good boy, they would not appreciate it either. It's actually
it just sounds like
a
you're
very
talking to
equal
a dog.
Equivalent.
Like, who's a good boy?
Yeah,
Who's a good
yeah,
girl?
it is. So
I mean, I
that was
personally
silly.
take no offense to it. You call me an asshole, I'm still not gonna take offense to it. But the thing is, like, if I did say please don't call me an asshole, and I'm offended by it or whatever, then just don't. There doesn't need to be a reason for it. Blows my mind. This is like human decency 101. Anyways, that does conclude the Olimoleague for this week. Shout out, so thank you guys for joining us for it. I hope you got involved with the Patreon, and if you didn't, just know that we reached a new goal with it, which is pretty cool. So hopefully we'll find out what the new benefits are for the Olimoleague and anyone involved with it. But we'll play one last commercial break before we say our goodbyes. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in, and keep in mind that while we do have tomorrow off, we have our temporary team league starting up this week. Matches have been posted on Team Liquid. We've got a co-op video listed on our YouTube, youtube.com/BaseTradeTV. I'll see you guys soon. Be back in 2 minutes.